shiny shoes. You got no time.
The General by Dispatch. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. We're broadcasting on over 900 stations, on Pacifica and NPR and low-power FM and college and community radio stations, on public access TV and PBS TV stations. And we're broadcasting on both TV satellite networks, Dish Network Channel 9415, Free Speech TV, 9410 Link TV, and on DirecTV Channel 348 and Channel 375. We're also video and audio podcasting at democracynow.org, and our headlines are available in Spanish for any radio station to take, as over 300 are. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. As we wrap up 2010, we're spending the hour in a wide-ranging discussion with Allan Nairn. He's just returned from China. He was in Asia for the last year to get an outside perspective of what's happening in this country, how people in other parts of the world see the United States, and also what's happening here at home. Allan Nairn is an award-winning investigative journalist and activist. Allan, you mentioned the issue of reparations. Expand on that.
Well, this came to mind with what happened earlier this year in Haiti, with the earthquake, now the cholera. Haiti, just a few miles from Miami, is in so many ways a devastated place. You know, when Haitians and some well-meaning foreigners who try to help in Haiti look around and try to help, try to rebuild from the earthquake, try to stop the spread of the diarrhea that's killing thousands. It's not always clear what they can do. Some steps are evident, but the damage to Haiti has been so massive. The hillside stripped of trees, the entire national housing stock in such a weak state that it could be knocked down by the shaking of an earthquake that would not do the same damage in another country. They're starting at a tremendous disadvantage. Yet Haiti, if you look historically, is one of the great nations of world history. They were a pioneer of democracy. The Haitian slave rebellion that led to the founding of the nation led to the establishment of one of the first republics in the world, a republic that the U.S. founding fathers immediately said had to be destroyed because of the destructive example it would set, because of the threat that it might give the slaves in the American South an idea. And they might try to rebel and establish, turn America into a republic, a real republic in which slaves could also have citizenship rights, as opposed to the fake republic which prevailed in the U.S. at that time. Haiti was also the source of great riches, gold in the mountains, riches that were taken by France and used to gild the palaces of Paris and Versailles. And the place was looted. The place was sacked by France, the U.S., by other foreign interests. And now it's at one of the lowest economic levels of any place in the world. And if you look at Haiti, if you look at Afghanistan and other of the world's poorest places, part of the solution is obviously letting people alone politically and militarily so they can pursue their own solution. You know, China is now being heralded as an example of economic progress. Well, China was an imperial system. They were colonized, and they went through really what was in effect a series of revolutions, a series of political revolutions, before they were able to reach the point that they could achieve this rapid economic progress. Can you imagine the United States letting Haiti go through an actual revolution, a social revolution that would change the basic terms of who owns the land, of who owns the property, of who has power? The U.S. won't even let Haiti have a fair election. When Aristide, the reformist priest, got elected as president, the military ousted him in a coup, and the U.S. came in and backed death squads to institutionalize that. When Aristide later got elected as president, the U.S. Kidnapped him and ran him out of the country. So the U.S. won't even let Haiti have an election, let alone a revolution. But if you look at, so that would be one element, allowing real political freedom so the Haitians could choose a way out.
What do you mean allowing?
Well, allowing, not if the Haitians decide to try to redistribute land, or as the very modest steps that Aristide tried to take when he was first president. He doubled the minimum wage. He tried to institute a basic social security system. This was enough for the U.S. to say, well, a military coup is a better solution. So stepping back and letting them do what they need to do politically. But beyond that, the practical solution, and the only reasonable one, would be some kind of massive reparation, some kind of giving back of the modern equivalent of all that gold that was stolen and all the other wealth that was taken out of Haiti over the years. Now, the immediate response to that, when you say reparations, is people say, oh, that's not reasonable, that's not fair. Because that was done by ancestors. That was done by people in the past. I'm not guilty of robbing Haiti. Why should I pay? Okay, that's a reasonable argument. But if you want to cancel the old guilt because you didn't do it, you didn't do the crime, you didn't do the theft, that would also mean that you should also cancel the old inheritance that came down to you from those same ancestors. All right, say you don't have to pay reparations, but that would also mean you have to surrender your unearned inheritance. And if you look realistically at the world, most of what people have comes from what they inherit, not from what they earn themselves. Take this country. You grow up in the suburbs, you grow up in a nice neighborhood of New York City. You have good food, you have clean water, you won't be sickened by your own excrement. You live in a building that's warm in the winter and cool in the summer. The roads outside are solid and safe. You can go to school for free. You have all these things and more, and you have all this before you have lifted a finger in labor, in work, in earning, in initiative, in free enterprise. You have all this while you're just a kid sitting there watching cartoons on television. So obviously you have a vast inheritance, some of it from your own family, but most of it from the society as a whole, from the rich society. In this country and in a lot of the rich world, when we talk about issues of equality, there's always a standard debate goes on, a very sterile debate between equality of opportunity and equality of result. The right says, oh, we shouldn't have equality of result. Everybody ends up at the same place. We should only have equality of opportunity. People start from the same place, and then you have a fair race. I tell you, the poor of the world would be thrilled to settle for just equality of opportunity. Forget equality of result. If you really had a regime of equality of opportunity, that would mean all children start from the same place. They all start with nutritious food, with clean water, with free schooling, with a safe home, etc. And then let the chips fall where they may, run the race. But that is so far from what we have now in the world. It's obvious. It's obvious to everyone. In order to achieve that equality of opportunity, and in order to be even-handed in applying the principle of what to do about the theft and the inheritance accumulated by our forefathers, you would need massive reparations, a massive flow of money from the rich world to places like Haiti, to places like Afghanistan. And that's just through applying consensus principles that everyone accepts.
We're talking to award-winning journalist Allan Nairn. Allan, talk about AFRICOM.
Well, AFRICOM is the Africa Military Command that was started by Bush Jr. and has continued and expanded under Obama. And it's a remarkable thing. It gets very little publicity, especially in the U.S. But what it does is it sends into the hungriest parts of the world, the countries of, in particular, the countries of North and Northeastern Africa, it sends in U.S. Green Berets, drones, CIA operatives. They militarize these societies. They are there ostensibly to fight what they refer to as Islamist terrorism. And so in these societies where people are stunted from hunger, where it's a day-to-day struggle for food among vast percentages of the populations, the U.S. is sending in bullets and increasing tensions. Ethiopia is a good example. Ethiopia is famous as a place with recurring hunger problems, and the U.S. has seized upon it as its key military platform in the region, kind of like the role that Colombia plays for the U.S. in South America. The U.S. backed Ethiopia in an invasion of Somalia. The U.S. is sending covert operatives in constantly, and in the midst of the worst kind of deprivation, and no one talks about it here. Yet it's criminal.
When President Bush wanted to establish AFRICOM in Africa, he couldn't get an African country to agree to be its base, so he had to turn to Europe.
Yeah, for good reason. But if you look at how things are changing in the world today, the U.S. militarily is in some senses in retreat, and that's a very good thing. It's what allowed South America to experiment with democracy in recent years. You have the rise of populist movements in places like Venezuela and Ecuador that would have been impossible in an earlier era when the U.S. was ready to pounce on any stirring of dissent in Latin America. The U.S. created death squads throughout Central America and also South America in the 1960s and 70s, starting under Democratic administrations, Kennedy and Johnson. But today, in the recent period, the U.S. attention has been diverted elsewhere, and it's allowed politics to some free choice, some free elections to develop, and it's a very good thing. Now there's a possibility that the U.S. may be forced into a retreat in Asia as the power of China grows. Now, China is a dictatorship. They apply repression on their borders. They back a murderous regime in Burma. They repress the people of Tibet. But they are not anywhere near as aggressive as the U.S. in defining their area of operations as the entire globe and sending in military and intelligence forces into every country on Earth. And so in the face of the rise of China's power, if the U.S. starts to retreat from Asia, it could provide some tactical possibilities for popular movements. They could start to play one off against the other.